on the website. Total population is the other statistic here. This is the total population within your district, and these colors correspond to the choropleth or thematic map that you see here. So as you can see, District 2 corresponds to this color because it is, as we said before, far under the target population. Another set of statistics that are very helpful are the plan statistics. These are summaries of the plan as a whole, not broken down by district. So as you can see here, we have non-contiguous districts, equal population. We have Black voting age population majority, and we have a number of our Hispanic voting age population majority. We have a measure of influence and Native American voting age population majority. So these are useful, and Ken can talk a little bit more about these measures and what they indicate. This relates to the Voting Age, the Voting Rights Act. Ken, if you want to take over a little bit right now and talk a little bit about these scores, that would be great.
Sure. You may be familiar by now that there are 6 criteria for redistricting. The first one, and most important one that you can do nothing else until you get this done, is meeting the terms of the Voting Rights Act. Now, what we did in Redistrict Arizona here was create a floor under which you cannot go. So if you look at Black voting age population majority above 50%, there are not sufficient numbers of African American residents in Arizona to make a district for that. So there's no floor there. But if you look at Hispanic and Native American, what we did was we broke this down. There were a certain number of districts 10 years ago that were created. Basically, it's like this. You can't create fewer than were made 10 years ago. You can create more if you'd like, but you can't create fewer. So if you look at Hispanic voting age population majority less than 55%, you also have one that says less than 40% and one that says less than 30%. If you look at the tables that came out 10 years ago, you'll see that of the districts that were created to meet the Voting Rights Act, they were able to break them down into ranges of how many voting age population residents were there in that district. And you're going to have that as a baseline to work from. And we're going to recreate that table for you over in the definitions section of the website, like I said, as soon as we have a chance to get that on there.
Sounds good. Thank you, Ken. I am going to move to the stats legend. The stats legend gives you just a little bit of background. Basically, is referring to what I was just talking about. What does the colored choropleth here mean, and the symbols for contiguity or non-contiguity. So this is one statistic panel, and all of these statistics relate to the geography. You may also want to be interested in demographics. So I'm going to load the demographics panel. This has the same plan statistics that I just mentioned, but it goes into some of the underlying data be it on the map. So again, we see the percent Black voting age population, percent Hispanic voting age population, and the percent Native American voting age population. These are 3 statistics that you may very much want to consider as you are editing to meet the Voting Rights Act, and just as a matter of interest. We started out when we started developing the software, we only had 3 statistics here, and the administrator of the site had to choose just 3 from the wealth of information that the census offers. Then we recently added a tool called the Edit Stats tool. And right now, as you can see here, there are only 3, but we are in the process right now of exposing the rest of the data here so that you can select from election data, from all of the demographic data that we have available, voting age population, total populations as well. So I'm just going to show you very quickly how to create your own statistic set. Each user can create 3 sets, up to 3 sets. So basically, when there will be a long list here, and when you choose those statistics that are interesting to you, that you might want to see that aren't showing here. And these are going to be good defaults. We've chosen these because of the requirements that you do have to meet in order to create a legal redistricting plan. But you may want to see your own. So I can choose any number of statistics, and then I can name my set. I'm not going to be very creative here. I'm going to call it my set and save it. And this now I have this as my set, and I can go out here, and it has defaulted to my set. And you can see here now in the drop-down, my set is a slightly different color. It's yellow. It indicates that it's one I created. And then I can still see the administrator set right here. So this is a very helpful tool. And as we get more data and upload the data, there will be more statistics available for choosing. I'm going to go back to the basic information tab because in this editing session, I'm going to focus largely on making sure that the population is balanced. So right now, I'm finished with the statistics. We've learned a lot about how this is useful, and you now know how to go over here to the statistics panel and take a look at each district and gauge where you are with that district. We're going to go into the next chapter, which is the editing tools chapter. I want to take a very brief break and ask if there are any questions at this time.
I think, let's see. Question for Ken. When, for example, it says Hispanic population is greater than 55%, is 4 of 3 or 3, does that mean it is now 4 but was 3 10 years ago, or is now 4 but should by law be at least 3? I'm not sure I fully understand that question.
Right. I have to look at that again because that's Abby, I don't know if you can answer that, because we discussed only this week putting that breakdown on there. So I don't know. Can you tell me, Abby?
Sure. So, and again, I'm not entirely 100%. We've been back and forth in discussions of how to display this. So I think at this point, 4, it means you have currently there are 4 districts on the map that match that particular statistic. So let's say for this one, it's greater than 55%. There are 4 of 3 that are possible or that we're aiming for. You can always create more if it's possible, and it seems like in this case it is. But this is basically giving you the number that is currently on the map of kind of a target number.
Another question that came up, it was stated there are 6 criteria. Where do we find all 6 specifically? Do we have that listed somewhere on the Coalition's website?
Yes. Under the Draw Your Maps tab, you'll see the definitions section, and that cites each of the criteria from the Constitution that created the Independent Redistricting Commission, and then explains how we look at those criteria through the software. And again, it's incomplete. Like I said before, we're working on it. We're trying to get it up there as quickly as possible for you.
That, I think, is what we have so far.
Okay. So the next section, I'll get into the editing tools. Now, this is probably one of you're going to want to pay attention to this section if you haven't been paying attention so far. This is really the section that you're going to be using the most. So these are the selection tools, and as you can see, I switched over to that toolbar by clicking on the edit map here. This just switches back and forth between the toolbars. There are a couple tools here for navigating the map. There's a classic hand drag tool. This is something you may have seen in Google Maps or Bing Maps or any of the pretty well-known online mapping